Hello guys, bersama saya lagi dalam ORAITNOPO channel dan dalam satu sesi ya apabila siri lawatan Perdana Menteri kita di Rusia ada satu sesi soal jawab bersama dengan pelajar-pelajar di sebuah universiti ya di Rusia bersama dengan Perdana Menteri kita. Dan ramai juga pelajar yang menunjukkan kehebatan mereka berbahasa Melayu. Ya, kerana mereka mengambil pengkhususan dalam belajar bahasa Melayu dan sebagainya. Memang padu, memang hebat. Jadi sahabat semua, tanpa membuang masa, ayo kita bersama-sama untuk menonton dan juga
Well, Malaysia is chairing ASEAN this year, and my question is as follows. In an era of political turbulence and economic uncertainty, how can ASEAN foster unity among its member states to effectively bridge the world and create a cohesive regional response to global challenges?
Who told you to ask such difficult questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now, ASEAN takes a common position on most issues. Of course, there are different countries, different emphasis and bias, but generally, for example, say the most contentious or more difficult conflict that we are facing, issue that we are facing, say Myanmar. The consensus is okay. Do whatever it takes, engage however, but remain the 5 principles. We call it 5-point consensus. And that's why in my engagement, when I say I'm to talk, they know that I will follow the parameters agreed upon. Now on tariff, we have these bilateral discussions. All countries in ASEAN are having bilateral engagement with the United States. But all of them asked, if possible, for Malaysia as President Chair to at least present the ASEAN case. It's 650 million people and $3 trillion. It's not small when we see as one regional bloc. So we have both bilateral, but also the understanding that, we also speak up for ASEAN. Now let us talk about, say many contentious issues, say issue of Gaza. Of course, there's different levels and degree, but no one wants this to continue. All wants a ceasefire. All says you have to respect human dignity. Some may pronounce that you recognize Palestinian state. Some may take some time, but no country in ASEAN has condoned these indiscriminate killings and colonialism of Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, first of all, thank you for an amazing speech. How do advancements in digital technology and the growing importance of cybersecurity serve as tools for Malaysia and Southeast Asian nations to connect and collaborate more effectively, thereby contributing to a harmonious and a great regional framework in a fractured global landscape? Do you see any role for Russia in this regard?
Thank you. Now, first priority of ASEAN this year, the consensus was sustainability and inclusivity. Then we have the thrust of our programs. One, we call it energy transition, which is critical. And we have now understanding to have this collaborative effort of ASEAN Power Grid. We have Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand into Malaysia, which is part of Malaysia, and then Singapore. And then we have Sarawak, Sabah, Indonesia, the Philippines. So there's, not many regional, establishment would set up or that of agenda which benefit all countries. The second is, of course, digital transformation, connectivity in all these countries. And our focus is, of course, there should not be this divide, because inequality is a big problem. why we question this unbridled capitalism is because you allow for this gross inequality and disparity from the very, very, very rich to the very, very poor. Now, if through digitalization it promotes that sort of, or condones or allows for that inequality, is a problem. Not only between intra-nations, but also inter. So we have to deal with it. Now, the next challenge, which is really serious, as you mentioned, is cybersecurity. And this would need collaboration. We have had meetings. There has been clear understanding earlier in Vientiane, before that in Jakarta, and in this year's meeting in Kuala Lumpur, and this will also be the focus. Now, we cannot combat cybersecurity as part of regional understanding. It has been collaboration with the United States, with EU, with Russia, with China, for example. So I think we will continue. But cybersecurity, cyber attack is a major threat to peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Saya adalah seorang pakar di pusat ASEAN dan juga sejak tahun akademik ini saya juga mengajar bahasa Melayu. Okay. Ya, saya ingin mengucapkan beribu-ribu terima kasih kepada Yang Amat Berhormat Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim atas ucapan yang cemerlang itu. Dan kalau Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim boleh dinamakan sebagai peminat sastra Rusia dan juga falsafah Rusia, ialah soal yang saya akan disuarakan. Pada pendapat Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim, apakah yang kesusastraan Rusia mampu menerangkan tentang jiwa dan identiti Rusia? Dan apakah persamaan antara watak kebangsaan dan juga identiti Rusia dan Malaysia? Sekarang saya akan menerjemahkan ke dalam bahasa Inggris. Your Excellency, so my question is you're known as, you're very famous for your genuine interest in Russian literature and Russian philosophy. And to your perspective, Your Excellency, what does Russian literature explain about Russian soul and Russian identity? Maybe do you see any similarities between Russian and Malaysian national characters and also identities? Terima kasih.
Because I think she's testing my own knowledge of Russian literature. You know, great literary works, irrespective whether they're Russian or Shakespeare English or Italian works, some touch the human heart and expression. What is a good literature? Is expression of human feelings and then translated, crafted into beautiful language, right, which touch the hearts of men and women. When I read, for example, War and Peace, I don't reflect that, of course it's a Russian story, Russian background, but it is humanity. Two Idiots, for example, or, all the great works. Dr. Zhivago. Well, Dr. Zhivago is of course Russian, but the humanity that is in place. The tragedy, the work, and love, of course, and sometimes the penchant for arrogance and war. All these are expression of humanity. And I think really, despite the fact that we are going for these great works of literature, for science and technology and engineering, which is critical for our survival as a country and humanity, this humanity cannot be replaced unless you go back to these great works of art and literature. Yeah, I read Shakespeare. Shakespeare, I still believe, as a genius, is still a pillar of the Western canon. I don't get, for example, a feeling of contradiction, although you know Tolstoy does not like Shakespeare's works. You see, but it's okay. These are, expression of their views. But we, I think Tolstoy is a great contribution, not only to the Russian soul, but to the humanity at large. That's how I see it. It can be Chinese, it can be Arabic, it can be Indian. So I see it in that context. How do they contribute? I would challenge anyone who says no, read. The problem is that, it's Russian. Maybe communist is dangerous. Then you're completely ignorant, completely, dismissive, without even attempting to understand and appreciate. I don't share that view. Any great work, and I think it's a major contribution. It touches the heart. Well, many of my colleagues say, Anwar is different because you read when you were in prison. So all tragedy, sad. No, not necessarily. It touches the heart. Whether you are in prison or not, the failure of politics, of deficit of trust, of corruption, of human failures and failings, arrogance of power, condescending towards others, all because we have lost that soul, the sense of what is right and what is truth. So I think that is the answer. That's why in Malaysia, for example, I know my colleague in Indonesia, some of the great works of the Russian novelists has been translated. We have been doing it. And I'm going to Kazan this evening, and tomorrow I'll be speaking. Of course, I'll be talking about Haji Murad of Tolstoy. And great. Okay, thank you.
Terima kasih.
Премьер-министр даже знает, что Толстой не любил Шекспира, слушайте. У нас не все об этом знают. Пожалуйста.
Selamat pagi, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Selamat datang ke Moskow. Terima kasih untuk waktu Anda. I'm going to switch straight away to English September, so I'm one of those lucky ones.
That's great progress.
Terima kasih banyak. Terima kasih banyak. Yeah.
September this year?
Yeah, September this year. I'm learning.
It's a matter of few months.
Yeah, not like, but 6 months or something. Yeah.
Good.
But we have very...
Try me a Russian 6 months.
But we have very good professors here in MGIMO. They're the best ones.
Thank you.
They're also present here. So, my name is Denis Zhuchkov. I'm the student of the first year of the master's program, Russia-ASEAN Strategic Partnership. And my question is as follows. So, at the Eastern Economic Forum, at the plenary session, you were asked a question regarding BRICS, namely how Malaysia sees its participation in the organization. And after the BRICS Forum held in Kazan, in which I have also participated thanks to the Volunteer Center of MGIMO as the volunteer of the Protocol Service. So after Malaysia and other countries representing the Global South have joined BRICS as partners, I want to know, has your perception of the organization changed? If so, in what way? And also, what does Malaysia expect from cooperation with BRICS? Thank you very much for coming. Sekali lagi, terima kasih banyak-banyak.
Terima kasih. In Malay, thank you is terima kasih. And it goes deeper than thank you. Terima kasih is I receive with love. Like from Russia with love. All right. So this is deeper meaning from the heart. And you see, receive with some feeling of love. Now, BRICS, of course, is a major contribution because we are a trading nation. We have to explore new markets. Brazil is a great friend. They're very committed. China, and now Russian Federation, South Africa. And we are giving the focus. In the past, yes, as I said, United States is a major contributor to terms of investments and trade. And then EU, European Union, Russia, in our discussions yesterday, we have to push that ahead. That's why I mentioned that we have some difficulty because sanctions, etc., etc. And but we are opening ways. And I said, we welcome the Russian airlines, including Aeroflot, to fly in as soon as possible, so that we can get the Rector Torkunov, who has not gone to Malaysia, to fly immediately. And I think we will arrange, we'll speak to Aeroflot, the premier flight from Moscow to Kuala Lumpur, he will be in it.
Ready.
So we're opening new markets. Now, what have happened? For example, say with Egypt, since a year, 1.5 years, the increase of in trade has been 34%. You see, we didn't explore this. Now with Russia, with the strength in energy, in digital, in petrochemical, I mean, so many. But then there's so many issues raised because of the sanctions. Now we have to overcome that. Of course, if it is multilateral sanctions imposed by the United Nations, we have to, naturally respect that. But some are unilateral sanctions. But I think we are not involved in terrorism or, causing any enmity towards anyone. So we want to work to benefit our people. So there's going to be a BRICS meeting in Rio de Janeiro soon. And I will, of course, attend to give the support. Terima kasih.
Very perfect. Thanks so much.
Thank you a lot for coming. I'm a first-year student of the School of International Economic Relations here. Our Muslim communities in strengthening Russia-Malaysia relations further. Thank you.
Thank you. No, Russia is a vast country, and also have a big number Muslim population. And I've seen, for example, the support of, is more inclusive in terms of the attitude of the government. Mosques have been built. People, you tolerate all religious activities of various communities and religious denominations. And I think that's a good sign. And in fact, encouraging this Kazan Islamic Economic Forum. That's why I choose to attend. Because there's also huge potential. On Islamic finance, halal is the trillions of dollars. It's not small. So other than following some Islamic precepts, it also allows for vibrant economic activity. And that's why I think the Kazan Forum is important. Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Selamat pagi. Greetings and... My name is Adam bin Amri, and I'm also a master's student here. I'm a master's student here in the Russia-ASEAN Strategic Partnership. My question for you today is, in light of the competing contradictions of influences in major powers such as China and the United States, how can ASEAN in itself navigate its diplomatic strategies to maintain autonomy while also forging connections that will support its member countries' aspirations to connect themselves with the global community market amidst this fragmentation? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, we have been sometimes persuaded or pressed to initially take sides. But ASEAN as a whole adopts a policy what is called centrality. We trade with all, we should be friends with all. We are, small nations combined together, although it becomes big, $3 trillion, as I said, and 650 million people. But still, we should show humility to say that we engage. There are problems we discuss. But they say no. But China is a potential threat. I say, threat to whom? Not to us. Then they say, but the South China Sea is still problematic. I don't deny. Do you have problems with borders with China? Yes. Malaysia is a maritime country. And we have issues with all countries, with Thailand, some parts of the border, with Indonesia, with Brunei, in Singapore, with Philippines, with Vietnam. But we don't go to war We are best of friends. If I feel I call Prime Minister Van of Vietnam, I just call. With Lawrence, I was glad he won landslide victory. I mean, we negotiate, we discuss, we can resolve. With Thailand, with some issues we can resolve. We have Joint Development Authority for oil exploration together. So why is it when it comes to China, we take a different position? So that is the position. Of course, there's a different engagements. For example, the Philippines have some sort of complex relationship, but still, as a whole, we say, okay, we should, exercise restraint and engage in the dialogue. The different levels of, partnership. But as a whole, it's centrality, and it is important. At the end of this month, ASEAN will have a special conference with Gulf countries, the 6, and China for economic summit. Oh, they say, but you are biased now to China. It's not true, because early this year, I wrote to President Donald J. Trump on behalf of ASEAN. I said, we want this United States-ASEAN meeting to go ahead. So it is very smart, You write to Trump, can we meet, ASEAN, United States? Then you go to China, can we have a session? And I'm here in Russia, we are great friends. That is what I think geopolitical relations is all about. Okay? Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Or as the Filipinos say, maraming salamat po.
Ya, selamat pagi, Bapak Ibrahim, yang saya hormati. Terima kasih atas kedatangan Anda ke universitas kami. Pertama-tama, saya harus minta maaf karena saya akan bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia, bukan dalam bahasa Belanda, karena ini adalah bidang spesialisasi saya. Oke, terima kasih banyak sekali lagi. Pengarang atau sastra Melayu apa yang bisa sangat menarik dan berminat bagi orang Rusia, yaitu bagi mahasiswa yang belajar bahasa baik Indonesia maupun Melayu di universitas kami, karena tentu saja Anda tahu sangat banyak tentang kesusastraan baik Rusia maupun Indonesia atau Melayu. Terima kasih banyak.
Yeah. Terima kasih. The question is, very good bahasa, I tell you. First class. Congratulations. And the question relates to the great works of literature in the region, particularly in Malay, Indonesian languages. What particular novel or work that I support? There's a lot of confusion because people think that I'm a graduate of literature, because I graduate from the Faculty of Arts. Faculty of Arts is translated sastra, literature. So they think that, no, I did not. I am not graduate literature. My special field of specialization is sociology. But my interest and love is, of course, literature and philosophy. And I think got too much philosophy, that's why I got into prison. Now, what great works? Well, it depends. If the classics is something else, but I think in terms of contemporary or what is termed as modern literature, I think poem of Anwar, Tongkat Warren or Usman Awang in Malaysia, or Taufik Ismail in Indonesia, or Muhammad Haji Saleh in Malaysia. Novels, if you think about the great works in Indonesia in the 50s, will be, of course, Salah Sohan. You're familiar with this? As one of those. Or the works of Hamka, Tenggelamnya Kapal Van de Beek. Malaysia do not, of course, produce as great in the 50s. Poems, some great poems, but novels not as penetrating, perceptive, and powerful. Some of the Indonesian novels. So, do I pass the test?
Ya, tentu saja. Terima kasih banyak.
Thank you.